What if we are overestimating modern technology? The Great Pyramid of Giza, built more than 4,600 years ago, still challenges our certainties about progress and innovation. How could a Bronze Age civilization construct a monument so precise that, in many respects, it surpasses buildings designed with state-of-the-art software? The controversy is inevitable. Perhaps we are not as advanced as we believe. While we celebrate skyscrapers that barely last a few decades without maintenance, the pyramid has endured for millennia, almost untouched. This exposes an unsettling contradiction. Did the ancient Egyptians know something we have forgotten? Recent research in Egypt archaeology reveals details that sound more like futuristic inventions than ancient techniques. And it is precisely this mix of doubt, fascination, and provocation that keeps the debates alive about how the pyramids were built and why we remain so far from a definitive answer. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a riddle that challenges even modern engineers. How could a Bronze Age civilization construct something so precise that it surpasses many structures built today? Each block, some weighing over 10,000 pounds, was fitted with almost surgical perfection. This achievement proves that ancient Egyptian engineering was not just about technique, but also about a vision of eternity. After all, who else would design something to last thousands of years and still fulfill its purpose? The impact is clear. Even now, we still wonder how the pyramids were built, with pyramid construction theories that sound like fiction but attempt to explain the impossible. Massive ramps, hidden machines, counterweight tricks all are part of the debate. Strikingly, many modern skyscrapers would not withstand centuries of erosion, yet the pyramid still stands firm in the desert. It reminds us that the past may have been far more sophisticated than we imagine. And at the center of it all is Khufu, the pharaoh who decided to turn stone into immortality. Khufu, the pharaoh who commissioned the Great Pyramid of Giza, was not seeking just a tomb. He wanted to establish himself as a god among men, someone whose name would echo for millennia. To achieve this, he mobilized ancient Egyptian engineering on a scale never seen before, turning faith into stone. It was ambition, but also desperation for immortality, since his earthly life had a short expiration date. Imagine the power it took to convince an entire people that lifting millions of blocks was a sacred act. This monument became a permanent form of worship, where every stone was a prayer carved in limestone. The pyramid was not only a resting place for a body, but also a bridge between heaven and earth. Many scholars in Egypt archaeology argue that the project went far beyond architecture. It was large-scale political propaganda. Khufu knew he would die as a man, but he intended to live on as a god. And that's where we see how wealth, military power, and religion merged to create a work without precedent. Khufu's Egypt was an empire sustained by rivers of grain and disciplined armies. The fertile banks of the Nile guaranteed abundant harvests, which were converted into wealth and power. This surplus fed both soldiers and workers, making it possible for the Great Pyramid of Giza to rise without the people starving. It's a reminder that the foundation of ancient Egyptian engineering was not just stone, but also agricultural logistics. Without this balance, the pyramid could never have existed. Beyond abundance, there was the military strength that kept everything under control. Beyond abundance, there was the military strength that kept everything under control. The armies not only defended the borders, but also ensured that the workforce continued to flow into the project. It's striking to think that the peasant's bread and the soldier's sword came together to lift millions of blocks. This powerful state machine explains how the pharaoh was able to empower Hemiunu, the genius who would transform plans into stone. Among the most fascinating figures of ancient Egypt, Hemiunu stands out as the mastermind behind the Great Pyramid of Giza. He was not just an architect, but the man who united science, faith, and power into a single vision. Many scholars in Egypt archaeology believe he was the one who translated Khufu's ambition into calculations, measurements, and practical strategies. If we talk about innovative leaders today, Hemiunu was already doing it for 1,600 years ago, coordinating a project that still defies modern logic. Even more impressive than his calculations was his ability to mobilize crowds. Imagine organizing tens of thousands of workers, distributing tasks, supplies, and food across miles of desert. That required not only mathematics, but also leadership, almost like a general guiding troops. This is why he is remembered as the true driving force of ancient Egyptian engineering. He created solutions for problems we still debate today in pyramid construction theories. And it is precisely within this genius that the hidden secrets of the pyramid's internal design emerge. The interior of the Great Pyramid of Giza shows that the construction was not merely an external monument, but also an advanced project of ancient Egyptian engineering. Chambers such as the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery were designed with precise geometric alignment. Studies in Egypt archaeology reveal that every corridor follows strict mathematical proportions. This internal design served both religious and structural purposes, preventing the pyramid from collapsing. Nothing there was left to chance. Every space had a clear function. The Grand Gallery, for instance, has a corbelled ceiling that distributes the weight of millions of pounds of stone. This architectural solution continues to intrigue modern engineers who study how the pyramids were built. In addition, narrow passages and hidden chambers suggest symbolic functions tied to the pharaoh's journey after death. This fusion of technique and religion makes the pyramid's interior just as enigmatic as its exterior. Yet there is still more to uncover when we speak of the original casing and the mysterious golden capstone that once crowned it. Originally, the Great Pyramid of Giza was covered with polished white limestone blocks. This casing reflected sunlight, turning the pyramid into a true beacon in the desert. According to research in Egypt archaeology, during midday it was possible to see the pyramids shine from miles away. The mirror-like surface also carried religious meaning, symbolizing the pharaoh's connection to the sun god Ra. It was both a feat of engineering and a symbol of divine power. At the top, it is believed there was a capstone made of gold or electrum, which amplified the reflection even further. The estimated weight of this piece would have reached hundreds of pounds, demanding advanced techniques for its placement. Some scholars of pyramid construction theories argue that this detail was essential for the monument to be perceived as Egypt's spiritual center. The pyramid not only impressed, but also projected political and religious authority. And to achieve such a feat, it required an unprecedented mobilization of labor in record time. The construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza mobilized tens of thousands of workers over the course of about 2 decades. Research in Egypt archaeology indicates that they were not slaves, but seasonal farmers who worked when the Nile flooded their fields. It is estimated that between 20,000 and 30,000 men took part in the project, organized into teams with specific roles. This division of labor was essential to maintain the pace of construction. The logistics involved providing food, housing, and supplies for thousands of people every single day. The schedule was strict and relied on meticulous planning. To raise more than 2 million blocks, each stone had to be cut, transported, and set with precision. Experts in pyramid construction theory suggest that, on average, 1 block was placed every 2 to 3 minutes. This achievement was only possible thanks to the use of ramps, levers, and techniques of ancient Egyptian engineering. The scale of social and technical organization is as impressive as the pyramid itself. Yet, understanding exactly how those ramps worked still fuels intense debates among scholars. The most widely accepted hypothesis among experts about how the pyramids were built is the external ramp theory. This idea suggests that a massive ramp was constructed in front of the Great Pyramid of Giza, allowing blocks weighing several tons to be hauled up to the higher levels. According to studies in Egypt archaeology, the ramp would have needed a very gentle slope to make transportation possible. However, this would have required a structure even larger than the pyramid itself. The concept is simple, but it raises a problem of colossal proportions. The reasoning behind this hypothesis is logical. It would have been the most direct and least complex method. workers could have used sleds, ropes, and wooden rollers to move the blocks. This approach appears in many pyramid construction theories because it is the easiest to visualize. Yet, no physical evidence of such a massive ramp has ever been discovered. This lack of proof raises doubts and opens the door to new hypotheses, including the possibility that the entire structure was dismantled and disappeared over time. To this day, excavations around the Great Pyramid of Giza have revealed no traces of such a massive structure. For the ramp to work, it would have needed to stretch for several miles and require millions of additional blocks. This raises serious doubts about the feasibility of building such a parallel construction. After all, why would the Egyptians demolish something so monumental once the pyramid was completed? Another problem lies in precision. An external ramp would have made it difficult to achieve the millimeter-perfect alignment seen in the pyramid, something that still challenges modern engineers. Moreover, studies in Egypt archaeology question how the Egyptians would have managed the curves and adjustments required throughout the process. These contradictions make the external ramp one of the most criticized pyramid construction theories. It is precisely because of these flaws that new hypotheses emerged, including the intriguing idea of spiral ramps. This pyramid construction theory suggests that a spiral ramp wound around the Great Pyramid of Giza, allowing blocks to be gradually transported to the top. The idea would solve the space dilemma, since the ramp would be smaller and integrated into the pyramid itself. Studies in Egypt archaeology argue that this method would make it easier to control both the slope and the weight. However, solid evidence proving its existence is still lacking. Despite being plausible, the spiral ramp faces a major obstacle: precision. With each turn, workers would lose sight of the pyramid's central alignment. This would compromise the millimeter-level accuracy of its edges, something that continues to astonish modern engineers. Furthermore, no clear traces of a spiral ramp have ever been found on the sides. This lack of evidence weakens the theory, but it also leaves room for new explanations, such as the modern proposal by Jean-Pierre Houdin. In 2005, French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin introduced one of the most debated pyramid construction theories. He proposed that the Great Pyramid of Giza was built using an internal spiral ramp embedded within the structure. This hypothesis would explain the lack of external evidence for massive ramps. Houdin based his study on 3D simulations and Egypt archaeology analyses, showing that the pyramid could have been erected in a more practical and efficient way. According to his proposal, blocks were hauled through internal corridors that acted as hidden ramps. Rest platforms at each level would have allowed workers to maneuver the multi-ton stones. This explanation solves the problem of precision, since alignment could be controlled from within. Although definitive archaeological proof is still missing, many engineers consider Houdin's theory the most convincing to date. And this hypothesis gains even more weight when we examine the role of the Grand Gallery as a possible counterweight system. The Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the most intriguing areas for scholars of Egypt archaeology. Standing nearly 30 feet high with a corbelled ceiling, it seems to have been designed for more than religious symbolism. According to some pyramid construction theories, this gallery may have functioned as a counterweight system. Blocks tied to ropes could have been raised and lowered, helping to move heavy stones to higher levels. This hypothesis suggests that the Grand Gallery may have housed the first lifting machine in history. This engineering concept fits the level of sophistication attributed to ancient Egyptian engineering. The gallery's structure, with its niches and recesses, could have served as anchor points for wooden mechanisms. Although no direct evidence has been found, the idea of a counterweight system makes the rapid pace of construction more plausible. Many modern engineers believe such a technical solution could explain how the pyramid was completed in less than 25 years. Still, other hypotheses such as the internal spiral ramp with rest platforms continue to compete for attention. Another widely discussed hypothesis in pyramid construction theories is the internal spiral ramp with rest platforms. In this view, hidden corridors inside the Great Pyramid of Giza would have allowed the gradual transport of blocks, reducing the physical strain on workers. The platforms would have served as stopping points to reposition ropes and sleds. This explanation aligns well with the pyramid's millimeter-level precision, since movement would have taken place from the inside out. Studies in Egypt archaeology emphasize that this would solve both space and alignment challenges. The strength of this idea lies in its efficiency. Instead of relying on massive external ramps, ancient Egyptian engineering may have devised a compact and practical solution. This approach would also justify the relatively short construction period, estimated at just over 2 decades. In this sense, the pyramid would have functioned like a spiral stone parking lot, where each level represented a stage of progress. Although the theory still lacks definitive archaeological proof, a structural detail known as the notch may provide support for this hypothesis. In 2011, researchers identified a mysterious notch on the north face of the Great Pyramid of Giza. This structural detail may be evidence of hidden internal corridors. For many scholars in Egypt archaeology, this small opening could be the key that supports the internal ramp theory. The notch appears strategically aligned, suggesting it may have served as an access point to maneuver blocks during construction. Though subtle, it fuels the debate over how the pyramids were built. The significance of this finding lies in the fact that it provides a physical clue amid so many abstract hypotheses. If the notch was indeed used to move stones, it strengthens the idea of internal ramps with rest platforms. This evidence also shows how ancient Egyptian engineering may have concealed solutions within the pyramid itself. There is still no consensus, but the notch is often seen as the missing link between theory and reality. And new research, such as the 2024 study on an ancient branch of the Nile, could expand this understanding even further. In 2024, a study published in Nature revealed that the Great Pyramid of Giza was located near an ancient branch of the Nile. This research in Egypt archaeology showed that the now-vanished river would have been essential for transporting stone blocks weighing thousands of pounds. Boats could have navigated to artificial canals built by the Egyptians, drastically reducing logistical challenges. This discovery further reinforces the idea that ancient Egyptian engineering strategically combined geography and technique. The river's proximity helps explain how millions of blocks reached the Giza Plateau in just 2 decades. Using water as a transport route is considered one of the most practical solutions among pyramid construction theories. It also clarifies why the quarries were located dozens of miles away. Instead of relying solely on ramps, the Nile acted as a liquid highway to supply the project. This finding paves the way for new hypotheses, including the controversial hydraulic elevator theory. Among the most controversial hypotheses about how the pyramids were built is the hydraulic elevator theory. This pyramid construction theory proposes that internal chambers were filled with water, creating enough pressure to lift multi-ton blocks. Ancient Egyptian engineering would thus have exploited basic principles of hydraulics long before their formal development in modern times. For some researchers, this explains the absence of massive external ramps. The idea suggests that the pyramid itself functioned as a gigantic hydraulic machine. Bold as it may be, this theory attracts attention because it connects the construction to the Nile, whose proximity has already been confirmed by recent studies. If hidden ducts and reservoirs existed, they could have served as a lifting mechanism. Still, no concrete evidence has yet been found in Egypt archaeology to support this model. The concept sharply divides specialists. Some see it as innovation, while others deem it improbable. This divergence leads directly to the next point: the criticisms that keep the hydraulic theory firmly in the realm of speculation. The hydraulic elevator theory, while creative, faces strong resistance among experts in Egypt archaeology. The main argument against it is the complete absence of traces of canals, ducts, or sealing systems inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. For such a mechanism to work, it would have required extremely advanced control of pressure and water tightness. Many engineers argue that ancient Egyptian engineering of the time did not have the means for such complexity. This lack of physical evidence weakens the proposal in the eyes of the academic community. Another major criticism concerns scale. To raise millions of blocks, the system would have had to operate continuously and flawlessly, something difficult to imagine with the technology of ancient Egypt. In addition, the logistics of filling and draining enormous chambers with Nile water would have been nearly impractical. For these reasons, many archaeologists classify this hypothesis as speculative. Even so, the absence of consensus keeps curiosity alive. And it is precisely this lack of evidence that raises the next mystery. Why don't we have even a single official blueprint of the pyramid's design? In other Egyptian constructions, researchers have found administrative documents and even ration receipts for animals used in transportation. But when it comes to the greatest achievement of ancient Egyptian engineering, not a single official blueprint has ever been discovered. For scholars in Egypt archaeology, this is puzzling, as it suggests that construction methods may have been guarded as a state secret. In this sense, the pyramid remains silent about its own origins. This lack of documentation leaves even more room for countless pyramid construction theories. Some believe the plans were deliberately destroyed to preserve the monument's mystery. Others argue that perhaps they never existed at all, since calculations could have been passed orally between architects and engineers. The absence of records contrasts sharply with the abundance of everyday data from the time, such as agricultural inventories and worker lists. This contradiction reinforces the sense that much is still hidden within the pyramid. Proof of this came in 2017 with the discovery of an enigmatic void at the heart of the structure. In 2017, a study published in Nature revealed the existence of a large void inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. The discovery was made using wand detection technology, cosmic particles capable of penetrating stone. This hidden space has dimensions similar to those of the Grand Gallery, yet its function remains unknown. For specialists in Egypt archaeology, it stands as one of the greatest revelations of recent decades. Still, no one has been able to physically access the area to confirm its purpose. The so-called Big Void reignited debates about how the pyramids were built and whether hidden mechanisms or chambers still lie undiscovered. Some hypotheses suggest it may have been designed to relieve structural weight, while others argue for ceremonial or even logistical functions. The presence of this void reinforces the idea that ancient Egyptian engineering employed solutions we still do not fully understand. But the mystery does not end there, for the pyramid holds an even more unsettling enigma: the absence of Khufu's body. Despite all the effort put into building the Great Pyramid of Giza, Khufu's mummy has never been found. The internal chambers are empty, and no sarcophagus with human remains has ever been confirmed as belonging to the pharaoh. For scholars in Egypt archaeology, this is one of the greatest mysteries of ancient Egypt. How can such a colossal tomb exist without a body? Some believe the mummy was looted in antiquity, while others suggest it may never have been placed there at all. This absence challenges not only archaeologists, but also the very pyramid construction theories themselves. After all, if the pyramid did not house the pharaoh's body, what was its true purpose? Was it merely a symbolic monument of power, or could it still conceal undiscovered secret chambers? Ancient Egyptian engineering left us a structure meant to immortalize Khufu, yet it rendered him absent from his own eternal home. This final mystery keeps the pyramid alive as a source of speculation and fascination to this day. The Great Pyramid of Giza remains an open challenge to humanity. The more we try to explain it, the more we realize how little we truly know about ancient Egyptian engineering. Are the secrets hidden in chambers yet to be discovered? Or are our modern certainties fragile when compared to a monument that has endured for nearly 5 millennia? The mystery of how the pyramids were built is not only archaeological, but also philosophical. What does it reveal about our understanding of progress? And doesn't the disappearance of Khufu's mummy make it all even more enigmatic? Share your opinion in the comments. Do we already have the answer? Or does the pyramid still hold secrets beyond our imagination? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep following new episodes of this ever-growing enigma.